or you can say that we have come up with a formula of CRO. And we have broken down the entire CRO journey in 4 parts. This is the mantra that we have cracked internally, and this is the formula that we have got. And we see the entire e-commerce journey in only these 4 funnels.
User engagement and retention is a crucial but least understood aspect of a growing a successful business. We are here to change that. Hi, this is Ankur. Join me as I dive into conversation with the best and brightest minds in user engagement to help you navigate the why, what, and how of this subject. Hi, good morning everyone. This is yet another episode of the State of Retention Marketing podcast. Here I have Ronak Sahewal with me. He's the Chief Growth Officer at Candere. Candere is a jewelry company which is selling several hundred crores worth of jewelry online, which is quite an impressive feat, given that Indians' obsession with physical experiences of stores and traditionally how we bought jewelry over these decades. But we have Ronak, and he scaled the brand over the last several years into a fairly meaningful contributor to Kalyan Jewellers now. And we're talking about retention, right? So welcome, Ronak. Thanks for doing this.
Thanks for having me, Ankur.
Great. So Ronak, I'd love to start with some very basic stuff on your own personal journey on how you've come to this position and what are the roles you've played and how it's played out.
Sure, definitely. So I would start with my first stint. So basically, right after engineering, I landed up into Infosys, and I was a system engineer out there. From system engineer to senior system engineer, I did a lot of things over there, right from testing to development to new projects, so on and so forth. But always I had this knack of business and going towards marketing side of things. So that is where I started to take a break, and then I learned a lot of marketing concepts, did a lot of certifications, so on and so forth, did my MBA as well, and then landed up into Candere. So at Candere, I started my journey as a paid campaign specialist back in 2018, and now 2023, I am the Chief Growth Officer over here. So it's a long path that I've traveled, and it has been quite interesting. And since it is a startup, things are quite dynamic, and that is how it has been. So
zoom into some of the fun episodes or interesting phases from your paid marketing guy to the Chief Growth Officer journey.
Sure, definitely. So being a startup, things are not quite defined when it comes to different roles that a person would play.
You're still saying it's a startup.
Yeah,
because
it is still
within
a startup.
the larger umbrella of Kalyan, it still operates
it is
pretty
still a
independently.
startup. So though we are tied up with Kalyan Jewellers, which is a national brand, we like to call ourselves a startup because that is where the enthusiasm and knack to बोलते ना चीजें फोड़ने की आदत जो है, so it comes with startup.
Sure.
So that is what it is. And so from paid campaign specialist, so there are multiple hats that I have played, not just paid campaign specialist, but the entire marketing suite. So how do I stitch various pieces of marketing? It be paid marketing, it be organic marketing, it be retention, it be automation, various other things.
Sure.
So all of these things we have traveled from the very beginning until today. And now since I know the business in and out, what are the various things that are associated, factors which leads to business, so on and so forth, which eventually leads me over here.
Very cool. So you've seen the journey from pretty closely. You were there since 2018, you said. And Candere was at what scale at that point? If you're able to share that.
So I can say that Candere was at X scale, and currently it is doing 10x.
Awesome. So about 5 years and 10x the scale.
Yes.
And I can imagine this is a much more, let's say, controlled / sensibly planned growth is my assessment. But great. Let's just zoom into this part around when you talk about marketing as a function in a jewelry kind of setup, in e-commerce industry, again, there is a lot of trust to be built, given that Indians don't operate the way they do. And you've seen that journey evolve. So what are the metrics you'll be tracking while this is all playing out? And these are the things that you care about on an everyday basis, every week basis, every month basis. How would you zoom into those?
So Candere is a data-driven organization, and the metrics that we look here is insane. So basically what we have defined is that, or you can say that we have come up with a formula of CRO. Now CRO stands for conversion rate optimization, and we have broken down the entire CRO journey in 4 parts. I would like to call them as PS, AP, OA and CO. This is the mantra that we have cracked internally, and this is the formula that we have got. And we see the entire e-commerce journey in only these 4 funnels.
Now, would you be able to talk more about them?
Sure. So PS essentially stands for all the users who have come onto my product page. These are essentially users who come onto the website, then travel to product page. So this is the first leg of it. Next is AP, that is users who have done product view and then added to cart as well. So this is a journey from product view to add to cart. OA is essentially now OA is something that we call as opportunity. So from add to cart to opportunity. So we have defined a formula for opportunity in our case, that is users who go on to the payment page as well. And after payment page, the end success comes at conversion, which is like CO, opportunity to conversion. So we see the entire funnel in these 4 parts, and that is how we crack it. And we exactly know where the issue is, and different stakeholders, different teams are involved in each of these 4 verticals or funnels, you can say. So basis that we kind of work on it, and this is
interesting. So this is like zooming in, breaking down the consumer journey on the platform into a very, very, kind of microscopic lens, and then looking at the experience from there. So is it fair to then say that a lot of your effort is about conversion of users in the session while they're in? Because jewelry is also not a purchase which you make often. So I don't know how retention plays versus how conversion plays. Would you be able to delve a little bit into this?
Yes, definitely. So it's not just conversion that we are looking at, but more from what can I say, the customer pain points that we are trying to solve. What kind of design that we are providing to the customers. For example, if Ankur or Ronak as a customer comes onto the website, they are on the website for some reason, right?
Sure.
Maybe we are looking for a product, maybe we are looking for a service, maybe we are just exploring designs, so on and so forth. Now, basis that we have crafted different journeys for the customer, and if we are able to map the journey or intent of the customer with our journey, nothing like it.
Sure.
So we identify at each level, we identify the different set of users who are coming in for what kind of offering that they're looking at or intent, and basis that they flow in the respective funnels, and then we see the end conversions which happens.
Okay, and so this
conversion
is the same journey of the user, which means if I've come to the platform once, I would have, let's say, different paths I could take, and that is, let's say, where you're doing a lot of curation to make sure I have a certain journey basis the intent had come into it.
Yes.
And the steps in my journey get optimized from a conversion perspective. Now, this is still talking about a single session conversion play versus a re-engagement, retention, reorder play.
Yeah.
So in terms of your mind share and the kind of ticket sizes you operate with, I'm assuming there's a spectrum, but is there a center point of your sweet spot that where your ticket sizes operate?
Yeah, yes, definitely. So our ticket values range between like 30 to 35,000. So that is what our ticket value is.
Which would make it an occasion purchase in some sense?
Actually, no. So that was a initial bias that each of us has, that jewelry is not purchased daily or people don't do it. But essentially people do it. So there is a lot of impulse buying that is happening. There is a lot of gifting that happens. There is a lot of occasional buying that happens. So it is a mixture of all these kind of purposes that are clubbed together, and then a jewelry is purchased.
Wouldn't that be amazing if you're able to sell 35, 40K kind of stuff with impulse kind of behaviors? Yeah. That's such an amazing position to be in.
Definitely.
Yeah. So I mean, that obviously goes against the common thought that one would have about jewelry. But tell me something now, jewelry in e-commerce, and you're at a fairly decent scale, it runs into hundreds of crores is my impression. How has the shift kind of played out in terms of, was it like ease of access, ease of variety, ease of options, or what is it that the consumers coming to online platforms for?
I mean, everything. So it's not just one thing, but to enlist a few, it could be, for example, when we go offline, do you get access to thousands of designs to view at?
So variety.
Probably there could be a few tens or few hundreds if a customer is willing to look at those designs. But online, you can see actually thousands of designs. Infinite catalog,
How
right?
big is the catalog?
So it's almost 10,000 plus
10,000
SKUs.
Wow.
So you can browse all of them. Moreover, we are using or leveraging technology to such an extent wherein user can actually see the product on themselves by using virtual reality, augmented reality. They can actually view those products on them as to how it looks. So we are doing numerous
So this
stuff.
is the experiential side. So one is the variety, second is experiencing on yourself. So the whole virtual thing, compared to what people would do in front of the mirror, you're able to do it virtually as well.
Moreover, transparency. Offline, I'm sure that a lot of national players are transparent, including Kalyan Jewellers. But the kind of transparency, the kind of questions that a customer has, online he gets answers to all of them. Because he or she gets price breakup, he gets various other details of the product that he's buying.
And that's your trust building exercise in some sense, right? So it's a high value category, people will take time to build trust, and that's where you put in this upfront conscious effort of putting all this content out upfront in some sense.
Right.
Okay, so this brand which is transparent, what else is driving people online?
Again, ease of access, we talked about
ease of access, experience, the variety of choices.
Yeah.
So, and What's the demographic of these people? Who are these people? Where are they from?
Essentially, Candere is positioned mainly for tier 1 cities. We are seeing people from aged between almost 30 to 45 kind of age bracket is there. Or we would want to call them like modern parents who are essentially into this journey of being called as proud parents because they are earning well. They are good. They are doing good in their lives. But a significant shift that we have seen in the recent time is that people from tier 2, tier 3 are also coming onto our platform, and they are engaging like no one would expect. There is a shift in pattern
And
that is
there
happening.
also, it's a big function of the kind of catalog they have access to here is amazing.
Yes.
And did this, adoption of the Kalyan kind of relationship help matters in terms of building trust?
Definitely,
I'm sure,
definitely.
right?
Yeah. Because it's a legendary brand, right? So it's out there since 1993. People love Kalyan Jewellers, and that is the backbone of Candere as well.
And you have brand ambassadors which have done quite well. So there is the whole soft side of how people trust the brand, and then there is a hard side of the data science which you put in motion to get all of this conversion in place.
Right.
So I'm going to break this down into a bit of, let's say, the same session bit that you spoke about, the 4 areas. And within this, if you were to, let's say, zoom in a little bit to understand that, give me examples of interventions that you made. I mean, I see examples from people like Booking.com who will create a sense of confidence that, okay, 20 people from your country have booked this room, or a sense of urgency that there are only 2 rooms left of this kind.
Right.
What are the interventions you would make at different places within your customer journey which you can give examples of?
So basically, if you see that, I'll just take a very small example of say PS. Users coming onto the website but not being able to go onto the product page. Now this would essentially indicate that they are not being shown the right kind of products that they are looking at.
Okay.
So we have a AI tool in the backend which essentially looks at what kind of products are working well, or what kind of product working well, and what kind of products would suit the right kind of geography or say demography.
Okay.
So for example, Ronak comes in onto the page, and we know that basis his browsing behavior or search patterns, he's looking forward to XYZ kind of a jewelry.
Sure.
So when he lands onto a page, the page is curated for Ronak and Ankur as a customer.
This is the
listing page.
Listing page.
The listing page wherein all the products are there, because a customer travels from listing page to product page.
Correct.
People would can land directly to product page as well because of various shopping campaigns, so on and so forth. But I'm talking about the interventions that we do. So on listing page we do so merchandising play a very key role.
Sure.
If I show the right kind of products,
this is 10,000 SKUs. You curate a bunch of, or is there a sorting algorithm of some sort which will then put a set of products before the others, in my view, vis-a-vis your view. And this is the AI that you're talking about, which factors geography, which factors browsing behavior, which factors a lot of data points that I might have given. And just from an allocation of traffic and spends, since you've done all that performance marketing on the side as well.
Right.
Is there a lot of traffic being driven via shopping campaigns of the product pages, and then the conversion happens from there? Or what's the larger part of your inbound traffic?
So a lot of traffic comes onto the product page directly.
Product page directly via shopping campaigns. Okay.
So, but it never happens that a user comes onto a product page and eventually makes a checkout and the conversion happens.
Okay, so that's would want to coming in but not converting.
Yes, immediately, not immediately being converted
because of the value as well.
Yes, the value is high, and people would want to see multiple products, right? And that is where the engine comes in, because
nobody buys jewelry by just seeing one product.
Yes,
how much ever impulsive they might be.
Exactly. So that is what happens. So people kind of view multiple products, and that is where our engine.
Do you have like a comparison engine also? People do that.
Comparison
or
engine,
they just do it multiple tabs?
They do it multiple tabs, and so the comparison engine is in the making. So
so you're doing that as well.
Yes.
Is that because you understood that people want to like look at whatever granular data to compare with each other?
Yes. And that's a customer journey that is typically
you think
there.
It's a fair expectation.
Right.
How about this whole social thing? Because I'm sure anybody buying jewelry at that price is not just buying alone. They will want to show to people, maybe virtually, maybe in person. So how does is that something you kind of focus on consciously, or is this URL share करके हो जाता है?
Definitely. So social sharing also happens, and we are very bullish on social as well. So if you see, go on to our Instagram platforms and just have a look at what kind of jewelry is being displayed out there. So our social team takes a lot of effort with respect to that. And jewelry in itself is kind of a product wherein people would want to boast about. People would want to
show it off. Half of the purpose is like that. Yeah.
So that is what it is. And social plays a very vital role over here. So that really happens.
So social, I mean, so when we talk about traffic that's incoming, you said that there's a lot of traffic that comes to the product pages directly, which is the shopping campaigns. Instagram might also do some of that in that sense. But then there is also a certain amount of traffic that would come directly, and then there's people coming in for the second time, and then the
Correct.
third time, and because it's a high involvement play, and you track that information that okay, this guy's coming for the third time and seeing this fraud for the third time, is likely he's going to buy this. Let me do something to intervene, right? That's where the journey from the PS to the AP, the cart essentially happens, right? So how does that orchestrate?
So that is what the customer journey is. So we kind of see that. So the entire list of users which comes onto the website, or the entire pool that comes in. So you can break it down into different segments. So one user is something who might not return. He might just bounce off.
And you have some variables which are going to tell you that this is a set of users. So you're identifying that user even before he actually goes.
Yes.
Okay. This is interesting because I've seen parallels in gaming where they do some work with this. But I'm very curious to see what do you do here.
So that is one segment. Second segment is of returning users. Third segment is probably of a buyer who comes again to purchase. That is a repeat purchase. So on and so forth.
Would you be able to tell me how do you identify these three in some sense? Give me some indicative variables.
So there are different ways. A user comes onto the website. He or she logs in.
Sure.
So we directly get an indicator that that this customer has logged in, और ये जो है इसने login कर लिया है. That means he or she is a buyer, non-buyer. We directly identify over there.
History wise,
yes.
मतलब पहले खरीदा नहीं खरीदा, which is one.
Correct. And once he does that, we have auto login system as well, wherein we do not want friction in that journey as well. Most of the time, when the user returns back onto the journey, he is auto logged in. That is a functionality, not a cookie wise. Essentially, from you have one tap Google systems, right? You just click one tap or login ho gaya. Also, a session is saved in the browser itself. So we do not do it, but the customer browser settings is such wherein the session is saved, and he comes in, he gets a seamless experience. He need not log in again.
Like one step left, reduce, so friction reduces. Data also gets richer. No, every time he comes in, you are able to log that information.
Exactly. So all of those things are there. So we try to give different kind of experience to different user bases. They are a past journey. So
examples would be very fun to hear. Whatever you can share.
Definitely. So one would be, say I am a customer. I am looking forward to. I saw 5 products. There are 2 to 3 products which I added to cart as well. Now I abandoned my website and I went on to do something else. Again, after in the second day, I come in. I start my journey right there. I have the right kind of products in my cart. I know what kind of products I have created. If I go onto the listing page, I would get similar products of all the products that I have added to cart or viewed. So
on the listing page.
On the listing
page.
So
that's where your catalog curation algorithm is also factoring what does he have in his cart right now.
Correct. Okay. So also there are various offers on our website always, which kind of gives that comfort to the user, because online
offers,
buying,
this is a function of a few variables as well. As to if you already know that this guy is likely to purchase, maybe a small offer is enough. But if you think he's really sitting on the fence and you will do something about it, then your offer would be more aggressive.
Correct. ये ऐसा है कि ऐसा मान लो कि इंडिया में people like offers.
Of course.
Say it or not, people like offers. So even if you want to go away from it, or if you want to think that offers is something that should be a secondary or a tertiary kind of a thing, but in India it doesn't work like that. And hence Amazon and Flipkart of the world, you have offers 365 days.
The Swiggy of the world are doing offers.
So
we get biryanis for half the price.
Exactly. So it has to be there, and that is the comfort that we want to give to the user.
But isn't there a bit of a dissonance in the category that you're operating in? वहाँ पे अगर बहुत discount दोगे तो लगेगा इनका margin कितना है भाई?
Correct.
How do you then navigate this?
So basically, the discounts are not like एकदम
steep नहीं होंगे.
हाँ, ऐसे discounts नहीं है कि कुछ अलग ही लग रहा है. But we see to it that we want to acquire that customer. We want to give that experience to the user.
Sure.
That is what we want.
Would you be able to tell me what is the split of discounted versus non-discounted orders, or at least from a tier of discount? Are you like typically operating at 30, 40? I don't think so. But let's say on average, what does the percentage of discount on average?
So jewelry operates slightly differently. So we have different components are involved. So there is a metal component, there is a making component, then we have the other gemstones or diamond or something on those lines. So the offer is not a flat offer, because on metal we cannot give much offer, because that's a commodity price. Correct. So but on making charges we have offers like 50% discount, 80% discount, 100% discount.
But making charges is usually like a small part of the overall price, no?
Yeah, but essentially this is the area where we can discount.
Where there is room to play.
And as you asked me that steep discounts है कि नहीं है. So this is the discount that we kind of give to the
मतलब steep
customer.
making charges पे हो जाएगा, but that's a
हाँ,
space for you to play
yes.
in. But that's
बस यही हम
kind of
pass on कर
controlled.
सकते
उसके अलावा कुछ है भी नहीं pass
Yes,
on
यही
करने
pass
के
on
लिए.
कर सकते हैं. या मैं diamond prices पे दे दूंगा कुछ. So diamond prices, gemstone prices और making charges. But making charges is a large component which people would want also see that कि मेरे कम से कम making charges लग जाए.
Correct.
Because the metal price is kind of appreciating as we see the past trends.
Sure.
So that is what it is.
The Janta still sees this as an investment space.
Yes.
Is that really
Yeah,
true?
yeah.
Because with all the stuff that's happening with gemstones and diamonds, I keep getting confused as to if this is really an investment or is this ever going to have this anywhere close to this resale value? I mean, metal is still okay.
If you also see
stones are
that
hard.
now this is a kind of a bias that is persistent in the industry or say in the country as whole. So for gemstones and say diamonds, we have a 100% lifetime exchange policy, wherein you and also 100% buyback. So we
100% buyback.
Yes.
Wow,
so
that's
100% buyback. So if you can go onto the website, you'll see all those policies being crafted only for these customers. So if you buy,
kind of I'm beginning to get curious if I were to draw a parallel with something like Amazon where the exchange is so easy, I end up being an impulse buyer and I eventually won't exchange, and that serves the purpose for you, right? Do you see this incidence? I mean, a lot of people exchanging stuff.
Not really.
Still early days in your journey, I guess.
Not early. Not really.
तो नहीं बोर होता इंसान
हाँ, क्योंकि कैसे it's not just jewelry or a commodity kind of a thing.
Sure.
It's more of emotion. When people buy jewelry, it is for emotion.
बेचने के लिए नहीं करते.
Yes, वो बेचने के लिए नहीं करता है.
But वो comfort बढ़ा कि genuinely 100% पे back हो जाएगा.
हाँ.
Which is where what you're trying to do is establish that confidence and trust.
Yes, correct.
So it's very interesting, right? Because I mean, I'm sure there are parallels to this whole comfort building exercise. जैसे वो I think when I was at Jabong back in 2013-14, we had an open delivery system. Open delivery matlab you'll get a delivery, you'll open the packet, you'll see if the product is actually what you expect it to be, and then you can make the payment. Because otherwise people at that time were still untrusting or non-trusting of e-commerce altogether. Like Nike के जूते मंगाए आएगा क्या पता नहीं है.
Correct.
So that made a big leap forward in terms of how trust operated. And what you're telling me is that for gemstones and diamonds you're able to offer 100% cash back from a brand which is reputed, that does definitely help in terms of improving confidence.
And that is where retention kicks in. So if we have such kind of thing, people would want to come back again because they know that if I'm getting the entire value of the product which I'm buying.
Right. And they can kind of, this is almost then borderline jewelry on rent, no?
Yeah.
I mean, I could rent it for like a year or two, but then I could switch when I want to.
Definitely.
But then tell me something now. This is also a category which is sort of high involvement, but potentially impulse ke beech ka spectrum. So there's a lot of browsing that people would do, right? That if I have to like choose one, I'll probably see some 100 odd products before I'll choose one. And that session information could be very valuable to understand that, okay, what is he spending time on? What is he possibly shared the URL of? What is he possibly come back twice on?
Correct.
How do you zoom in? How do you capture? How do you translate this information to action?
So all these informations which are there, we do not do it manually, first of all. So all these information...
That's a given.
So these informations which are there, they are just fed into the system, and our only intent is how can we give better experience to the user.
Sure.
So because nowadays distraction is so very high, people would tend to go from one place to another.
Easy.
So if I have
yes,
so if I have 10 things, I do not want him to essentially go in all 10 things, explore, waste him time. So see to it that if he is looking for XYZ things, I'm giving him XYZ things along with ABC information such that he can make a very informed decision and then can move out in the journey.
In mobile and web wise and mobile app wise, what's the split of traffic? Is it dominated by?
So essentially we do not have app. It's only a website that we have. So
and that will still be dominated by the mobile side of things, or is that a lot of
85% of our traffic is on
85
mobile.
Is mobile. Wow.
That's the entire customer journey nowadays across geographies.
And typically, how many pages is a person seeing from a cell phone?
So typically, we see that 4 to 5 pages is something that a customer is looking at.
अच्छा, मतलब इतना भी खत्म हो जाता है, really? I'm surprised.
Yes.
But okay. 5 pages, and then typically when you look at intent to purchase, what would tell you that okay, if he's seen XYZ number of pages / comeback wise a number of times, likely to purchase is high. That's just one variable, though.
Yeah.
But what are the variables you were able to correlate with intent?
So essentially, what pattern we have seen that if you know that PLC graph, it goes up, saturation comes in, and then it goes down. The similar pattern is seen for pages as well. The higher the number of pages, the higher the intent to purchase. But that shoots up until a maturity level or a growth level. And post that, if the user sees even more number of pages, then he's likely to go down. Then he's highly confused.
Paradox or
could be maybe
too many options, like
confusions.
Put off.
Yeah. So after a point in time, we see that it goes down. So this is the pattern we have seen.
And would you think this is a pattern that will apply across the ecosystem as well?
I think so, because that is how we operate,
Generally
right?
see as choices.
If we go offline to purchase any product, if we see 5 products, 10 products, fine, we might purchase it. But if we are going and just hogging around things, looking at 20, 30, 50, 80,
Then you're
100
likely to get
things,
confused and not do
we are
anything.
likely to confuse.
Fair enough. You spoke about this whole sorting algorithm
Yeah.
being an intelligent thing. At
Yeah.
what scale of the catalog did you apply this? Because now it's 10,000, so obviously it's
Yeah,
essential.
yeah,
But
yeah.
I mean, for a 100 product company, it might not be as useful or relevant. So, at what point in your journey did you choose this part?
We started this quite early. I mean, I'm in 2016 or 17. I can see that we started with this sorting algorithm kind of a
Okay.
thing, wherein we started to give such an experience
But
to
the
the
catalog
customer.
was always large in that sense.
Yeah, the catalog
large
was
enough
always
to not
large.
be
Yeah.
possible to consume in like
Yeah.
whatever.
It was always large because people online would want to see options. That is a basic point of parity or point of differentiation, you can say, wherein people would want to see options online.
So options, I agree. वो sorting वाला part में intelligence लगा कि curate करना है. Is where the
Right.
question is a little bit more. That I mean, because we have a lot of people who run Shopify stores, right?
Right.
And usually the intelligence used in catalog as a component is at various levels in terms of the spectrum. So I'm trying to understand at what point would it make sense for a company to invest in this whole effort and then see ROI as well, because there are tools available to probably assist with this, and there is some in-house tech that you can develop to absorb all this data, translate this into an output, and then display that on the platform.
Correct.
So at what point do you think it makes sense for a brand to spend time, effort, mindshare on
maybe I guess brands need to look at their journeys, as I mentioned, PS, AP, OS, CO. If they see that there is a lot of drop off that happens at the stage, wherein
At the
people
listing page, you mean?
yes, at the listing page, then people need to actually work on this kind of
Which
algorithm.
is likely, no, because that, I mean, so in terms of the share of traffic that comes in, whatever
Yeah.
direct traffic comes in, repeat comes in, would come to the homepage.
Correct.
A certain amount of paid traffic would come to the catalog and landing pages, listing pages, so to speak.
Correct.
And there is going to be a meaningful bounce rate for everybody.
Yeah,
But I mean,
yeah.
so what I was trying to pinpoint as an answer was, is it like a couple of hundred products, which is a good starting point to do this, or is it a couple of thousand products?
They can start with 100 products as well.
Yeah, as long as there's a roadmap to get to more. Because if
Yes.
the catalog is going to remain 100, then it
Correct.
might not be.
I mean, it is good to start early. I'll tell you why. There is no need to start with automated algorithms, AI in the first go itself. Since they know that people, they know their scroll depth, right?
Sure.
How many products people see in one go. They can actually build a manual algorithm onto their top listing pages for say 2 to 3 kind of a scrolls. And
Sure.
they can see how this manual algorithm or manual intervention works. If this works well, they know what is the
Then you can
power,
keep
and they
growing
can
that,
replicate it onto their different listing pages as well.
Then it's a continuous optimization journey
Yes,
as well. So
yes.
once you kind of basis whatever data points you've been able to collect, got the sorting algorithm in motion,
Correct.
the logic can keep evolving and the conversion rates would ideally keep improving.
Right.
And within this journey of users, I'd love to see some flavors of intelligence that you've kind of discovered that, okay, this is an opportunity to intervene and you made an intervention.
Okay.
Right? So if you can give us examples at, let's just say, the product page visitors, whatever traffic has come into this page, you would have done some sort of customization and messaging based on
Correct.
some variables. So give us some of these examples.
So let's deep dive into a journey from AP to CO.
Okay.
Okay. So here the customer has added
This
to
is
cart.
cart to conversion.
Yes, this
just
is
so
cart to
everyone knows.
opportunity. Cart to opportunity.
You call it opportunity, which is
OA, opportunity to
but
add
just
to
to
cart.
make sure that the conversion is the closure of one, add to cart. No, this is the pricing page,
Yes, this is a payment page.
payment page. Okay,
Yeah.
got it.
So from
Cart
add
to
to cart
payment.
to payment
Yeah.
page. Yeah. So here we see that so there are different dimensions of people coming onto cart page.
Sure.
So first leg is to actually break the users into different segments. Now one is buyer, one is my subscriber, one is a user who has just come for the first time,
Okay.
and fourth is something which I do not know, anonymous user kind of a thing. Okay. So these are the 4 levels
First
of
cuts.
user of users who are there on the cart page.
Okay.
Now second dimension is product. What product have they added to cart? Now I have past data basis which I know that which product is going to convert the highest.
Okay.
So first dimension is my customer, second dimension is my product, third dimension is the offer. Now what kind of offer is being applied to what kind of a product?
Okay.
Now just multiply all of them together and we get a formula of users who would go from AP to my OA, which is
Okay.
opportunity. And basis that, what we essentially do is, say for example, user, I say a ring, one particular ring of say 30,000, which is there on my cart page, of a user who is just a subscriber. But I know that the likelihood of user being converted for this particular ring is very high. And I have say 200 such users who are there onto the cart page but haven't moved ahead.
Sure.
I know what kind of trigger that these people want in order to move ahead. It can be a very simple offer that get extra 2% off, and we see that 200 out of 200 users, 100 users go onto my payment page.
Okay.
Now that's a huge opportunity when we talk about 30,000 as a ticket value. So this is one kind of a thing that we do, wherein we give additional discounts to users.
So 2% discount for the people who are most likely to convert but sitting on the fence.
Right, exactly. So these are the kind of intelligences that we have onto my...
You kind of use those areas around customer segment, around product and the offer. So multiplying these will end up becoming, I don't know, a couple of 100 different micro segments, so to speak, and the interventions then change.
Correct.
And will these interventions be through the on-site experience itself?
Yes, it will be. So what happens is that from cart page, before going to the product page, there is an area of address page, wherein a lot of fields are being asked. Okay. So what we essentially did was we found that users who are moving from cart page to payment page, essentially there is a lot of drop off which is happening on the address page. Then we deep dive into the address page and we saw that there were like 30 fields, 20 fields that were present over there, which users do not want. So what we did was we eliminated a few areas which are not required. For example, date of birth. It was present on address page. And that was really giving this discomfort to our users, and hence they were not able to go to a payment page. So what we did was we eliminated all those fields. Now, by eliminating all those fields, we saw a 15% jump from address page to payment page.
Nobody pushed back because there was probably somebody who wanted to run a birthday campaign as an occasion play, no?
Exactly. So what we do is every D2C brand wants to get as many information as possible, but that really doesn't work all the time.
It will hurt your kind of conversion journey, but I mean, birthday campaigns I thought would be a valuable thing for Candere. So you've let go of the birthday campaigns to be able to convert better. Is that what we're saying?
Yes. So essentially, the area at which you ask, or the point at which you ask. So on address page is not required, but keep it in my account, and you can lead users to my account. So we have a separate campaign onto it altogether.
अच्छा, birthday का data डालने के लिए.
Altogether we have a separate.
One thing I noticed, lens का do was जो lens का power होता है वो खरीदने के बाद पूछता है. मतलब खरीद लो उसके बाद नहीं, लेंस भी खरीद लो, पेमेंट कर दो, उसके बाद पूछेगा पावर बताओ, बिकॉज वो पहले पूछेगा तो स्टेप में ड्रॉप ऑफ आएगा. So I'm now beginning to wonder, unless you have shipping restrictions, which by now I think is a stable problem, it's not a big issue anymore, you might as well let people make the purchase first, my address बाद में डाल देना, then the drop off completely goes away, no?
Exactly.
Do you think that will make sense for your world?
Yes, that makes sense as well, and that is what we do. We do not take as many information as possible in these steps. We would want to eradicate as many steps as possible, and hence birthday was one such example of that. There were various other fields like WhatsApp opt-in. We do not want to take opt-in at yes. We can get it at different stages wherein we can collect such opt-in data from the customer.
So one of the fun exercises we had done, and this was when I was on the other side as a customer to web engage, was thank you page surveys.
Yeah.
Now before the thank you page, which is essentially the closure खत्म हो गया deal वाला page, obviously there's a product journey that's involved and the users optimize for conversion. If you at that point pop questions which are not highly aiding conversion, the product team obviously would hate you for it because you're hurting conversions. But once the user has made the transaction, then you can do whatever you want with him, and he's also, for this kind of involvement, he's also sitting, dude, I've actually committed to this, right? Because I'm assuming it's a lot of prepaid orders as well. So once they've committed to it, then they're like, okay, waiting with bated breath कि अभी आएगा whatever होगा. So उनको फुर्सत है, वो engage करेंगे, and you can probably ask them more questions at that point on the thank you page, and that gives you a lot of rich insights around demographics or psychographics. So we found that to be a fairly powerful play. But you removed all this information from the let's say conversion funnel, and you put it elsewhere, and you're running more campaigns to kind of be able to originate that data.
Correct.
So if you have to balance between user profile enrichment versus conversions, you will choose conversions any day. बाकी सब बाद में.
Yes.
Important call to make for D2C brands who are trying to get more and more people to convert. Don't add steps in the way. Don't add friction because you want more data. It doesn't help matters. Very interesting. So we spoke about the discounting. We spoke about the address field getting more rationalized to reduce the friction there. There are components around trust that you mentioned. Any examples of that? Because when you have the new first timer coming in, his concerns are probably more than price. How does he look at it? How do you solve for it?
So, talking about trust, there are different elements of trust. For example, one is the legacy of Kalyan Jewellers.
Sure.
Now, when people see that Candere is a part of Kalyan Jewellers, there is an inherent trust which this particular thing has.
You make sure it becomes very visible across his journey.
We always try to see that Candere is a part of Kalyan Jewellers. It's not that trust is coming from there, But essentially, that is
component.
what people are perceiving
Yeah.
the brand as. That is one. Secondly, the genuine reviews. We typically have genuine reviews on the website, wherein
ये
people.
genuine कैसे confidence आता है customer को?
So, by which what we do is we just not display our website reviews. We have additional links as well, wherein people putting in review across third-party platforms like Google. We have various other review platforms like Mouthchart, Sahewal, so on and so forth.
उन सबको अपने product page पे दिखाते हो?
We have those links over there. People can
अच्छा,
directly
links
go and see our reviews over there. And once they are fully satisfied with the kind of reviews which other people have shared, it gives them an inherent confidence that it's not just the website reviews that I'm looking at. It's essentially the third-party reviews as well.
Which gives confidence of the credibility of these reviews.
Yes.
Okay.
And we have such journeys wherein we ask users or we urge users to give review onto third-party websites as well.
अच्छा.
So it's not just that we collect.
मतलब you're basically beefing up reviews across the ecosystem जहाँ भी है.
Because reviews play a very critical or vital role.
उसमें tactically photo के size क्या होने चाहिए, real product के साथ में video बना के डालो. You kind of
we do
collect
that.
that UGC and then incentivize that behavior.
Yeah, we have UGC in place, but when I give too many constraints, people end up. They do not end up giving a review.
अच्छा, मतलब you will not force them in a certain direction, but you might encourage them. And does this have an implication in your conversion funnel in some sense? कि UGC का अगर video आता है, जाने मैंने ring देखी, मैं बहुत खुश हो गया. But now somebody sees this ring and they get more confident. I've seen this Amazon पे toys के साथ people upload stuff that they're doing, and I don't know to what extent it works for you.
Yeah, it works fantastically.
Yeah.
So if I have real images, because the lot of images that we have on the product page, they are more of CAD, more of studio images. So people CAD का भी है. So people really want to see the real images of products which eventually come to them. So that works amazingly, and I can say that with the help of these reviews, the conversion rates shot up by 20%. So
it's an area to invest to get user-generated reviews.
Absolutely.
Authentic जितना कर सकते हो अच्छा है. But the only caveat, दूसरी traffic, I mean, you're sending traffic elsewhere. Is that like a concern in some sense or not really?
No, not really.
People who want to buy will come back and buy.
Yes.
Because I mean, people tend to get distracted as well, and that there is certain traffic who will go and never come back.
Yeah, but essentially that's a trust building. That's a trade-off between your frictionless journey and a trust building. So
and you've taken that call that you're okay to let people, some of them go, but the larger bunch of them is building trust. So that's helping that.
Correct.
So trust via reviews and UGC is one big component. Kalyan Jewellers is the second big component. What else around? Let's say, is there a payment method split between prepaid versus COD? Do you allow COD at all? Is that a large part of your plate?
No. So essentially, we have partial COD in place. We do not have full COD.
Okay.
But having
it's
said
like
that,
a middle ground sorts.
Yeah. So essentially, the thing is, since people have 100% refund policy out there, so they can buy the product. If they do not like it for XYZ reason, there is no question asked refund policy as well.
But 100% refund is highlighted across the journey to kind of make sure it's dimag mein ghus gaya. So that's also confidence builder.
That's a trust or comfort which users get. So there are, so talking about payment gateway, we have all kind of payment methods possible. So and also we see that a lot of times drop off happens on payment gateway itself due to a bank issue, due to a third party aggregator issue or whatsoever. So we have actually placed technology out there as well, wherein on real time we would know that which platform is working well. Basis that we would push those platforms ahead in the user journey.
So it's the payment provider in some sense.
Yes, it's the payment provider.
In fact, one of the payment providers, I wouldn't want to name them yet, but is also working on this whole recovery mechanism, because payment failures lead to a certain level of drop off, and that doesn't help anybody, neither them nor the e-commerce platform.
Correct.
So they could jolly well actually have an integrated journey with WebEngage along that ecosystem, where the payment links are, or a payment mechanism is embedded into the WhatsApp card recovery or payment recovery method as well. There's a very high intent guy who actually attempted a payment, so you might as well recover almost all of them.
Right.
So it's something that might be worth putting in motion. Great. So you have 100% refunds, you have Kalyan Jewellers brand, you have also a brand ambassador for Candere separately?
For Candere we do not have brand ambassadors separately.
Something you're considering?
Not real time soon, but let's see.
But do you leverage the Kalyan brand ambassador meaningfully in your interfaces?
Yeah, I mean, it's done at a parent level. We do not do it at Candere specifically, but at a parent level, it's essentially driven by there.
Sure. So, I mean, that's Kalyan Jewellers' brand credibility coming in from there, and you're kind of using that as a next step.
Correct.
Interesting. So, there is, for the kind of competitive space this has become, now, how do you determine preference, and is this to do with the fact that somebody who's bought from you once will potentially want to buy from you again because of these X reasons? Or is this, how do you solve for this?
So essentially, we have seen that repeat purchase that happens, it's not just the buying experience on the website that matters the most. there are different touch points that we have identified that plays a very critical or a vital role for retention. So taking a very small example, starting from basics, the kind of products which are shown on the ad. So the ad campaigns that we are doing, are we showing the right kind of products to the right kind of audience first?
Okay.
Basis that user would come onto the website. Once the user comes onto the website,
this is your acquisition campaigns.
Yeah, acquisition
shopping
campaigns.
ads, whatever you call them.
Yeah.
And you're saying the right kind of products. What would this?
So by right kind of products or right kind of copies, what I essentially mean is, am I using some ad copies which are not directly linked to my to my brand? Say for example, at times there are black hat techniques which users use, right? So we are strictly against those. So the right kind of copies to get users onto the website first.
Don't just clickbait.
Yes, clickbait mat karo. Yes, get the right kind of ad copies to the right kind of user coming onto the website.
And it's a conscious stance. Clickbait ultimately doesn't help.
Yes. So एक बार website पे आ जाते हैं, then give the right kind of experience, breaking them down into 4 funnels.
पूरा funnel है.
ठीक है. यहाँ पर हर एक step पे we have different levels. After that, once the purchase is made, now the fulfillment journey starts, wherein ours is typically make to order kind of a brand.
10,000 units, you're not definitely keeping inventory.
So essentially the typical fulfillment cycle is around 15 to 20 days.
Okay.
Now here we need to see that we have to give the right kind of comfort to the user. It be the status of the product which is there first, the right kind of status. Second, if there is an inbound query coming in, the right kind of revert or response to the customer for their queries.
This would need some sort of level of sophistication. I don't know. So is this like algorithm based play ki 3 din baad, 7 din baad, 10 din baad ye bhej dena, or is there a linkage to?
No, there is a linkage. There is a linkage. So the order fulfillment happens. There are different stages to it.
Sure.
And each stage is triggered with a communication in the background.
And this data is integrated.
Yes.
That whatever stage change is happening here, this communication has to go.
Yes. Okay. So the communication going upfront from our side, the queries coming in from the customers, we see to it that utmost care is taken to respond to these queries.
Sure.
The first response times, supremely critical. Many a times what brands do is they focus more on the inbound sales queries, not on the support queries. But
in your case, keeping that comfort till the product is delivered is very critical, because I've paid that money and I'm still waiting for my product, and if I'm anxious about it, I would want somebody to comfort me.
Correct, yes. Okay. So that is there, the queries part. Third part is at the time of delivery. So we have logistics partners being there. Now we have to take utmost care of the delivery experience as well, wherein you are not there at home and you have ordered it. And for some reason, you want the user to have this jewelry to someone else at home. Now, do we do this? Because it's eventually so we have all those integrations in place wherein we give this comfort to the user, wherein confidence उनको रहना चाहिए कि the product is with me. Yes. So all kind of the package that we have, the secure package, 4-level secured package. So all those things are very critical, such that user
the entire
would
buying experience, from the ad click to the website visit to the purchase experience to the before delivery experience to the delivery experience and the handling. There's a lot of components you've broken that down into to build confidence, and this is what you're saying is helping you. In some sense, build confidence to drive repeats.
Yes.
How would you
certainly
do that? Because while of course you've done a great job here, I would imagine a lot of it to be table stakes for your industry. A secure packaging, great experience on delivery. If somebody is not doing it, they're doing a great disservice to their own business in some sense. So how do you now elevate the bar, and how do you drive, let's say, if there's a X number of people who have bought, I'm sure basis the different categories that have been bought, you would have repeat patterns ki somebody who's bought X will buy Y in a certain time frame.
Yes.
Right? And a percentage of those people will end up doing it, a percentage of people will doing it with you. How do you create a greater share of that whole repeat experience?
So as I mentioned that the entire journey is vital
you've done
for
a great
retention.
Job optimizing. Yeah.
So what we have what we have done is we have given different percentages to each journey. Okay. Now what role my pre-purchase funnel has, what role my purchase funnel has, and what role my post-purchase funnel has.
Okay.
So we have given different weightages. For example, 30, 50, 20. So 50% is given to my delivery experience.
Okay.
30% is given to my purchase experience. 20% is given to my pre-purchase experience.
And this is a weight on repeat rates.
Yes, on repeat rates. Okay. So what is repeat as a percentage of?
Achha.
So we have created this.
So you've seen cohorts on the basis of people who've had great delivery experience versus and so on. Okay.
So basis that what we essentially do is that so post experience. So we talked about people purchasing say a ring. Now we see that the most likelihood of the user converting from ring to earring is highest. Why? Because a set is completed.
Sure.
Now in our campaigns, what we essentially do is that we see to it that we give matching products recommendations to our customers.
Sure.
It can be similar products recommendation to the customer because they want to look it at as a series kind of a thing. For example, a ring is being purchased, but there is a concept of stackable rings.
Sure.
So the first ring is purchased. We know that people are going to stack rings now.
Sure.
So then the stackable campaign runs. So likewise, there are numerous campaigns wherein we find out basis our past data what kind of products is the customer going to convert at.
Let me help you understand this, Ronak. Now, if you're dealing with all of these different kind of eventual outcomes, and people are diverging in terms of somebody's bought a ring, somebody's bought a bangle, somebody's bought an earring, and there are different directions they'll go in, right?
Yeah.
And at an execution level, now when you start thinking of these as individual segments and campaigns, it can get really fragmented and messy, right? Because how many campaigns are you going to create, and how do you automate all of this?
Right.
So, what's your architecture on how do you manage all of this?
So basically, good question. So there are numerous campaigns that are in place. So our entire campaign journey is fragmented into two parts. One is the one-time campaigns, and second is the triggered campaigns.
Okay.
Now, triggered campaigns is essentially in the lines of PS, AP, OS, SEO in all the four funnels, and eventually
user behavior triggered.
Yes,
something the user will do, something will happen, and
yes.
that, in some sense, you set it up once and it runs on its own.
Yes.
You don't kind of change it every day.
Yes, exactly. So the maximum ROI is driven by triggered campaigns only.
Would it be fair to say that from a mindshare as well as from a share of, let's say, your communications, the big part is triggered?
Yes, yes.
Okay.
Because you are giving the right kind of communication at the right time to the right user.
And this is possible to automate, and this is possible to scale and also optimize over time.
Absolutely. So that is supremely critical. So our entire focus is more on triggered campaigns.
So would it be then that your team comes up and kind of defines a few new triggered campaigns every couple of weeks, and then you keep expanding. So at some point, you'd be running 100 odd triggered campaigns for different scenarios and use cases and micro segments. It can get sharper. From
yes.
But this is something you can jolly well start in an early day as well, right? Because what we see in the D2C ecosystem, people tend to wait a certain level before they start looking at some of these optimizations. But in your case, when did you start?
So we started early. 2016 is something that we started our triggered campaigns as well. But to all the new D2C brands out there, I guess they can start really early because that's the learning that they have from the ecosystem, right?
So beyond the first 5, which is like card, abandon, and that, give me a few examples of some of these triggered campaigns.
So one is order series. That is definitely
somebody
there.
who's placed an order, whatever's going to happen to him.
And trust me, the kind of value these order series have, people just keep it in the back burner. But just imagine in triggered series, if you have the right kind of recommendations for repeat purchase, when matching products, upsell, cross-sell, so on and so forth, you get repeat order immediately.
But you're saying somebody is waiting for his order in the next 15 days. That's your typical delivery time frame, 15 to 20 days. In between, you're able to get another order.
Yes. Wow, okay. That is what we have seen in the
jewelry category.
Yes. So even this was not expected for us. We didn't expect orders coming in from order series, but they really do.
Does this have to do with the fact that these emails will have amazing open rates because people are sensitive to this information?
That's right.
So while your other emails might go wherever they go, this email is going to get opened. So if at this point you want to engage with him, it's a good opportunity.
Absolutely.
Very interesting. So, order confirmation and downstream information around shipping, is that, and is this predominantly email? Or what are the other channels?
So essentially, we send these communications across channels. Email,
so same parallel,
SMS, WhatsApp, push.
कोई timing होता है और is this like flat?
It's a triggered kind of
triggered है तो जब जाएगा
triggered.
But across channels.
Across channels because एक level से दूसरे level पे जाता है तो there's a status change that happens in the backend.
Correct.
जैसे ही वो status change होता है एक communication trigger हो जाता है. So
fair enough. And this you think is extremely valuable to do upsells because
extremely
this is a great time. The guy already trusts you in some sense. He's just bought with you. He's in the mood to spend probably some more money, and this is a great window to capture.
Right.
Very interesting, but I'm not sure if this. I mean. If people have tried this or people have seen success with this. So in fashion industry also we've seen some of this pattern where people tend to repeat fairly quickly after the first order, even before probably the first order is delivered.
Right.
But that's interesting. So that's one, the whole order series. What else among these triggered campaigns, which is
one is order,
like these are my best campaigns?
One is order series. Second is something called as complete user profile. So basically, we have a journey, as I mentioned, that in order, in address, address on the address page, we have eliminated quite a few fields.
Sure.
we have a separate campaign for getting the user data. Now, this user data is handled with utmost care, but we land users onto my account page, wherein we urge them to fill the entire profile which is there. We give them some brownie points and some exclusive discounts as well. But this
Completion
data,
rate क्या होता है इसका?
just have a guess.
I don't know. I mean, I would imagine service would not get better and single digits, but you seem to be more confident.
30%. 30%.
Wow.
So because
What is the incentive you're offering for people to enrich data?
So there is 1,000 rupees extra discount is added directly to their next purchase. Or basically what we do is we add this amount directly in their promo wallet. So there is a concept of promo wallet and Candere wallet. Now promo wallet is something we directly add the amount.
I need to zoom into this like a lot more, because this whole wallet business has its own set of implications and how it can be useful, right? So in fact, one of the things I was very curious about is people offer a lot of upfront discounts to just about everybody to make their first transaction. And when the consumer has taken the discount in the first transaction, 70% of them are not going to repeat any which ways. So aren't you better off putting that discount as a cashback in the wallet in some sense instead of giving it upfront? Because then it'll be utilized by people who actually make a second transaction. For those who did not make a second transaction, that money is still yours.
Correct.
So in your case, when you're using these wallets, just describe what are the wallets you're talking about. There's a promo wallet, there's a Candere wallet.
Yes.
What are the rules? How people earn money? Where can they consume all of this?
So there are different ways in which money is credited to either of these wallets. Why we have bifurcated these two wallets is because Candere wallet is as simple as they are, say, a Paytm wallet that we use. That you can directly load. You can directly load money in.
Load money bhi karte hain log.
Yes, so people
because
do this.
Just to buy impulse jewelry. I mean, I've loaded my Amazon Pay account to buy books for 300 bucks, but you're saying I'm going to load money into a Candere wallet too.
Yes, that really happens. People do that. So they load money into the Candere wallet, and that is completely theirs. They can use it in whatever
they can also withdraw it if they want.
Yes, but promo wallet is a wallet.
But this is almost like a closed loop wallet to either spend on Candere or take it back, right?
Yes, that's
so
right.
This is, I mean, isn't there a regulatory aspect to it? We can get to that subsequently, but I thought there'd be a more complicated business around this.
But I mean, it's a basic kind of a thing wherein it gives a comfort that I do not want to pay it directly from there. I would want to load it and then I would see how it works. Also, there is a concept of vouchers over there. So why this Candere wallet is there? Because we have given some vouchers to the users wherein they can directly use or redeem these vouchers in their Candere wallet itself. Say for example, yes. So I give some percentage of amount to users in the form of wallets. So they can directly load this money in their Candere wallet. This is one.
You'll send me a voucher worth, let's say, $500, and that's $500 voucher. If I have to redeem it, it'll get loaded into my Candere wallet.
Because क्या होता है, जैसे voucher, if you see, हम vouchers दे देते हैं लोगों को, but उनको क्या तभी ज़रूरत होती है, शायद नहीं.
Sure.
But if जब use करना है, they do not have those vouchers handy. So जब आता है, do one thing, redeem these voucher directly in your Candere wallet. और बाद में जब purchase करना है कर लेना.
There's also an action needed, right, on the part of the user. If you were to just kind of add that money into the wallet, instead of sending this voucher and making me redeem. Have you chosen this consciously that I'm going to ask the user to redeem so I know some sort of intent? Or?
दोनों हैं. So we do it both ways. We add it directly via digital channels as well. This is one. But in the second case, there are various alliances that we do. For them, we give them vouchers. And in that case, when they get these vouchers, they redeem it via the Candere wallet.
So now there's a Candere wallet which puts the user can load money or he can load vouchers, and there's a promo wallet. What is that about?
Now promo wallet is like we have different stages developed on our website. Now for example, on sign up you get some, say, 10,000 rupees in your promo wallet. Now promo wallet funda thoda sa alag hai. There are some terms and conditions applied onto this promo wallet because this money is not directly earned by them or something which is given by the brand. So here we have some conditions like 10%, 5%, 20% of the total money can be redeemed in one transaction. In the second transaction, they can redeem even more. So that is how it works. So there are some conditions or terms and conditions applied to the promo wallet, but in case of Candere wallet, they can use it
the whole money can be utilized immediately.
So that's a slight differentiation that we have created.
Promo wallet in some sense seems like a collection of vouchers that can be applied. That is transaction में एक ही लगेगा.
Correct.
While the Candere wallet is like pretty much money in bank, whichever they want to apply, they can utilize. And from a discounting strategy perspective, would this be a lot of upfront discounts now switching to like cashback in one of these wallets?
Kind of. So we have not really tried a lot of cashbacks going into these wallets on transactions, but this is in our roadmap wherein we would want to try this. Even this campaign, the Akshaya Tritiya campaign, we are running one such campaign wherein additional discount is being given to them in the promo wallet, wherein they can use it for the next
if
time.
you were to be able to switch away from upfront discount to cashbacks in the wallet, again the same advantage, right? People who redeem that will be a smaller percentage of the overall people, but it will have its own implication on conversion rates as well. So that's where given that you're tracking the new user behavior from various sources, maybe some users have a better propensity to convert, and you don't have to give them an upfront discount. You might as well give them a cashback, because cashback is still not discounted, so the contribution margin still kind of remains slightly more intact.
Right.
Coming to contribution margins as a subject, in terms of the business, you mentioned that it's a more rational, well played out growth play, and you've been a marketer and then you've become the chief growth officer now. So what has changed from the kind of numbers you were tracking on your radar? There was campaign performance and this and that, but now you have the business responsibility in some sense, right? So how does that part of the P&L or marketing contribution and those components look like?
So essentially, so the lens changes completely. So one is that you look at a function in general, but as a chief growth officer, you have to see data even more holistically.
Correct.
It can be different business verticals. It can be the funnels that I just spoke about.
You say verticals. Within Candere, do you have more verticals?
Yes, we have more verticals. So essentially, these are channels. So one is my direct channel, wherein business comes in directly from my website. Second is a marketplace, wherein my purchase happens via marketplace, and third is B2B business as well. So we have certain share of B2B business as well. Yeah. So that is how it works. So these are the three main channels.
Is there like a major split between these three, or where does your mind share go predominantly?
It's direct business, because that is having the highest share. So that is where we brainstorm the most, and that is where we spend most of our energies.
Time and effort as well.
Yeah. Okay. So that is how it is.
So when you say the lens changes, of course the allocation of split between these three different lines of business, or what you call them, channels, would become a part of your radar.
Right.
But now, as far as the performance or the P&L or the the math of doing these kind of efforts is concerned, you've not gone crazy with the CPC bids despite the competition evolving, right? Because there is Candere by Kalyan, but there's also this CaratLane by Tanish, which is a fairly well trusted competing brand.
Right.
And ultimately, the digital jewelry buying audience is an X number, which is probably growing at a certain pace.
Right.
So now, are you expanding the category overall in terms of people buying jewelry online, or is this a market share battle? I'm sure it's a combination somehow, but is that the lens that you look at people from?
So what we are essentially doing is, so these were the three channels that we spoke about, but there is a fourth channel which is emerging in Candere, which is the experience center.
Okay.
So we are going omni-channel. Wow. Yes. So we are creating experience centers for our customers, wherein in the entire journey we saw that users are actually browsing jewelry online, but eventually they are more comfortable, or they would want to have the look and feel of the jewelry as well.
And this is like a qualitative, quantitative analysis which led you to this.
Yes.
But then this goes back to the whole omni-channel. I mean, Tanish and CaratLane, for some reason they have two different things.
Yes.
But in your case, Kalyan Jewellers already exists, but now Candere also has to go offline.
Yes. Okay. So essentially, there is a lot of demarcation that we have done with respect to product lines.
Okay.
So Kalyan predominantly is more of Murat jewelry or wedding jewelry per se, but ours is more dainty jewelry, everyday jewelry, office wear, so on and so forth. So there's a clear demarcation that we have done.
So brand-wise you're separate, but now Candere, if he has to go offline, would this be like a large assortment? You can't see 10,000 SKUs in the store, but what's your...
So essentially what we want to do is we would want to give experience to our customers, and with the two stores that we have opened, one is in both those experience centers are in Mumbai itself. So we are giving curated kind of products to our customers, our best sellers predominantly. And the kind of jewelry, the everyday jewelry which is there, these are the jewelries which are present in the stores. So not a 10,000 SKUs. Typically, you can consider almost 1,000 SKUs or 800 SKUs.
And this is all real jewelry which I can buy from the store and walk out.
Yes.
But this will certainly also open up this whole offline market for you, right? The casual browser who comes in, maybe comes in second time and then buys.
Yes, correct.
But from a data gathering perspective now, are you doing anything on that direction on the Candere physical store to enrich your subsequent online experience for the same visitor?
So essentially, the entire experience that we have created on stores is synced to online.
Okay.
wherein a customer makes a
The
purchase.
same 4 steps funnel, is it?
Yes. So it's just that the first 3 steps happen on the stores, but
Sure.
eventually the purchase which happens, it happens on the website, on the key, the point of sale systems that we have kept.
Oh, so he's not going to pick up and walk. He'll place an order there and that'll get delivered.
Yes. So there are 2 things to it. If the customer is not willing to do it and he wants the store manager to do it, the store manager does it for him.
Kind of what Lenskart does, right? In some
Yes,
sense.
kind of.
Lenskart also doesn't. I mean, I can see the frames, but I don't buy from there and take it along. I have to place an order. It'll come to me shipped. So I mean, all the orders are ultimately digital orders.
Correct.
It's an experience which you're able to provide offline. And would this have a skew in terms of the 1,000 SKUs you put are anyways the best sellers? So people would get confidence / I like this enough to order this online. So some sort of a beef up on that side. Okay, very interesting. So is this somewhere, so again, coming back to the whole market share battle versus growing the category battle, now that you've chosen to go offline, in some sense, it's a category growth play. And is that like a large part of your agenda now to kind of think of offline as a play?
Yes,
or
yes,
it's
definitely.
a pilot and you will validate some assumptions and then decide?
It is a pilot, but eventually we know that it works.
Online for the content.
Oh, yes.
So that's the reality of most D2C brands, so to speak, which are no more direct to consumer because a lot of their sales are not on their own Shopify platform. Of course, marketplaces have a big role to play. And then offline is something which is unavoidable.
Correct.
Right? So while you made a choice from an experience perspective, is there any specific pointer that said that, okay, guys, this is going to cap out here if you don't go offline? Was that a sort of, I mean, cap out not in terms of the absolute size of business, perhaps the growth rate. You want to grow at an aggressive pace and you have to go offline because online growth is only so much.
I mean, the share increases when we have multiple channels.
Sure.
So that's the entire thought process behind it. As we know that since we are talking about jewelry per se, a large number of users would want to go offline. And that is the general behavior that we have seen in the entire customer journey. Wherein they are more comfortable looking at jewelry online, but when it comes to shopping, they would want to go there because emotions are attached to it. They would want to go with their loved ones, so on and so forth. So yeah, the entire experience is something, the omni-channel piece. Now, if I am only a offline brand, I cannot give an online presence.
The 10,000 catalog won't work.
If I have online, it goes.
This is going to scale up, I would imagine. And from a steering people into the offline source perspective, in your online experience, where would it appear in the user's journey to say that, hey, if you want to check it out, go here? And to which users will you tell? Because you probably don't want to tell everybody because then they'll stop buying online and go offline straight. How do you make that
So essentially the thing is, since we know that in which pin codes we are available, so our customer journeys on the website are crafted basis the pin codes.
But Bombay mein to, matlab, I mean, people who have the enthu and they're buying ₹1 lakh worth of ring, they will be okay to spend that kind of time, no?
I don't think
know.
so.
Yeah, I mean, that's a distinction you
they would they might not go far away to buy a jewelry, but if it is there in vicinity, if they are loving a brand, maybe they consider.
But then this would need a much larger density to kind of contribute to your play to be meaningful, right?
Correct. So just early days for us with respect to omni-channel.
Sure.
But I'm definitely.
But interesting dimension to kind of scale in. You know, so we spoke about automation and triggers in a certain level, and we spoke about the catalog personalization, which suits the guy's preferences basis the data you collected. But from all of these communications you're doing, so you mentioned the order journey having a certain amount of recommendation upsells. These recommendations tend to be personalized basis a lot of variables.
Absolutely.
How else does personalization play a role for you across different kind of interfaces that the customer has for you?
So personalization is the core. So all our communications which goes to the customers, they are highly personalized.
So it be one-to-one personalization or
yes, one-to-one.
So then this is more of the triggers is initiating when the message goes, and there is another logic and integrated system which decides what is the content that's going in.
Yes, absolutely.
Zoom into this a little bit. What kind of examples can come in?
Yeah, for example, say you are looking at a specific product, right? So you looked at say ABC SKU.
Sure.
Now
let's make it a whatever solitaire earrings for 150,000 rupees.
Yeah, let's make it a solitaire earring of 1,50,000 rupees. Now you're looking forward to that earring and you abandoned from there.
Sure.
Now the kind of communication that will go to come to you will be around the solitaire earring of 1,50,000 in and around. So for example, the same earring in the first instance. In the second instance, since you have not made a decision yet, I will show you similar products around these.
Sure.
And in the next go, maybe I will give you some additional discounts in the journey, and then give you some comfort like this is how the journey would be.
So because this is based on a user action trigger, there is room to utilize the same trigger to personalize the content of the communication as well.
Yeah.
And the same thing would apply across all the different channels in orchestration as well. Fair enough. But beyond this whole triggered business, which is user initiated, I'm sure you have a large number of customers who've not made a transaction in a reasonably long time, who's not even probably visited in a while.
Yeah.
How do you curate their experience? How do you personalize for them? How do you bring them back? Because you probably know that, okay, this guy's bought this, but he'll still wait for 3 months. After that, he might come back.
Right.
But then if you were to just send him an email, it's not going to be enough.
Yeah,
Or
right.
even if he opens the email, the content has to be meaningful. So how do you solve for that ecosystem?
So we spoke about it, right? That, for example, a customer is looking for, he bought some solitaire earring, but we have this data in the backend, like with solitaire earring, what are the different products that he or she is
cross-sell
purchasing.
other windows.
Yes.
But from a time window, you said that within the first 15-20 days itself,
Yes,
you'll
yes.
cover a whole bunch of stuff.
Yeah.
But how does life move beyond this? Because, you know, and most brands have like a large acquisition funnel and a certain retention funnel that, okay, out of 100 people you acquire, maybe X number will come back within a certain time frame. And there is a large chunk that you're sitting on which is kind of not really contributing or being active. So with that large audience, which most brands have when they grow to a certain stage, I mean, the first 6 months, 1 year, probably not. But after a year, you will have, let's say, 500,000 users who have not transacted in 6 months.
Correct.
How do you deal with that?
There are multiple things to it. So there are two legs to it. What communication and personalization.
Sure.
These are two different arenas altogether. Now let's talk about communication. So onto our platform, we are getting new things continuously.
Sure.
For example, we have something called as DGRP, which is a double gold rate protection plan.
Okay.
Now in this, the scheme says that if you purchase a jewelry at today's rate, the rate won't fluctuate. And if the rate fluctuates, you'll have the same rate.
Sure.
But this is the usual scheme that we have altogether. But this scheme says that, say if the rate goes down, say if you are at 40,000 and if the rate goes to say 30,000, so you can pre-book at that rate. So you are safeguarding on both the sides, wherein if the gold rate goes up or goes down. Now we have seen the addiction to this particular service that once a user is enrolled to DGRP, once a user is enrolled to DGRP, he or she is coming back again and again and again.
That's your prime program, so to speak. Now he's loyal to you. All of his extended family jewelry shopping will also happen from here.
So impulse buyer is one side, but a user who is taking a very informed decision and not for any immediate purpose kind of a thing, he or she is using DGRP to fullest.
Kind of get comfort.
Yes. So this is one.
This tells me, go on.
Yeah, this is one. Likewise, there are numerous other communications as well. For example, new collections coming in, new campaigns coming in.
And that will also get curated in some sense because you have like a large catalog and a large number of users.
Yes. So these are the different things
And all the different data points you're collecting on birthdays. Again, gets into action.
Correct.
You know, so the birthdays wala kahani is about gifting, and that's where I was going to zoom in for like a couple of minutes on the buy for self versus buy for others kahani. And what kind of data collection and what kind of data execution can then probably help this matter?
All right. So essentially, we also have a team called as Delight Team.
Okay.
Now this team helps users make their purchase. Now a user who is coming on to my payment page, but for some reason is unable to convert. Now they can get connected to this Delight Team and
phone,
the conversion.
WhatsApp,
Yes,
chat,
phone.
everything.
Yes.
Phone.
So they can directly convert from there.
Okay.
At this stage, a relation building happens with the user. So which is of predominant layer there in the offline world.
But is this a large part of your funnel? How many people do end up having a conversation with somebody?
They really do. Almost 70 to 80% of the customers do end up on call as well.
But that's I mean, doesn't that like make the whole affair a little more expensive as well as effort?
But essentially, now 70 to 80% of the users who are there on a payment page, not the entire pool, because the entire pool is quite big. Now, this user, I mean, everyone wants that personal touch. So if we get connected onto the call, there is a relationship that builds from there. And anytime the user wants to purchase a jewelry, they come onto the website, but essentially they have the comfort with this Delight agent that they have.
But is this mapped one-to-one source that whenever Ronak goes to the platform, it will be the same agent that will pop?
Yes, we have kept it that way as well. So whenever, say, Ronak comes onto the platform, there is a second agent which is sitting in who has already been connected to that. So he or she is connected to that agent. But say in case the agent is not there,
then there's a fallback. But default is typically
the default is there.
Very interesting. And this then has to continue scaling, right? Because your funnels are going to keep expanding. So the stream of people who are also in contact are also expanding. Wow, some scale of play. Very interesting, Ronak. This is quite exciting. Thank you so much for spending the time. I was very enthused about the way you've put some of these frameworks and how your own journey has grown from managing paid media. In fact, being an engineer converting to paid media and then looking at growth for a jewelry business. So thank you so much for doing this.
My pleasure.
I appreciate your time and attention.
Thank you.
Thank you.